Nandito si Secretary Manalo at nais kong itanong kasi nung 28 March, inulit rin ng Malacanang matapos na yung aresto na yung ICC has no jurisdiction in the Philippines. We also agree that the ICC has no jurisdiction and that statement is tantamount to a rejection of ICC's jurisdiction over the country. Kasi hindi na tayo party sa Rome Statute. Tama po? Sa Law of Treaties, di ba? Ganun po?
Yes, ma'am. That's how it goes. Tama.
Are you familiar with the executive order of U.S. President Donald Trump, which imposes sanctions on the ICC? It was issued on February 6 of this year, and effectively freezes all properties and interest in properties found in the U.S. or held by U.S. persons, practically anyone who helps investigate, arrest, detain, or investigate certain persons. Hindi ba ganun yung executive order, yung tungkol sa sanctions sa ICC? Among the protected persons is a citizen of an ally of the U.S., not consented to the jurisdiction of the ICC, or not a state party to the Rome Statute. Ayan. So, ang tanong ko, andito rin, makikita natin, may dokumento na ang Pilipinas is identified as a major non-NATO ally. Tama po ba? Matagal na yan, luma na yan, no? Di ba, yung non-NATO ally tayo, di naman tayo NATO, pero talagang kaalyado tayo. Tama po ba?
It's considered parang ganun, non-NATO ally.
So, sakop tayo as a major non-NATO ally, although it's alleged that the executive order of President Trump seeks to protect Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel, all non-NATO allies are in fact covered. Tama po ba?
Well, ma'am, I don't really know if there's exactly that kind of provision.
Well, it's written very clearly in the executive order.
I mean that I will protect them from ICC. I think ang aim ng US is really to protect US targets. In case a country helps in getting a US target arrested by ICC, they may come in.
Since the Philippines continues to reject the jurisdiction of the ICC, we're not a party to the Rome Statute, both of the conditions indicated in the executive order. Is the former president therefore a protected person under the issuance of President Trump?
I don't believe that that would be covered. In fact, we haven't.
Why not? We are a major non-NATO ally.
We've not heard anything from the United States on this point.
We don't need to be told. We just comply with the law.
Well, as I said, we have not heard anything from the U.S. in that. In fact,
I think we're not expecting to hear from them.
Well, I think they would have come to us. In fact, when we've had talks with them, our talks have been on very different issues. Our most recent talks. But I'm not quite sure whether that's exactly.
I'm just considering that the wording of Section 8D2 of that issuance says, citizen or lawful resident of an ally of the U.S. has not consented to the ICC jurisdiction or is not a state party to the Rome Statute. A very plain reading will say who is within the coverage. So, we've not consented to ICC jurisdiction. We're not a state party. Paulit-ulit po. At ang Pilipinas ay talagang dineklara major non-NATO ally. Di po ba?
Well, yung major non-NATO ally has been there for a number of years. But I'll just say first on the
Kaya nga, hindi naman nagbabago yan. Matagal na yan.
But on the jurisdiction, since we are not a member or no longer a member of the ICC, we've already made very clear we were not under jurisdiction. What happened in the case of President Duterte was that our cooperation was with the Interpol, and that we are a member of the Interpol, and there's nothing in the U.S. statement that says cooperation with Interpol would not be acceptable. So we did not.
I'm not making reference to any of that. I haven't mentioned Interpol. It came from you, Secretary Manalo.
We have not cooperated directly with ICC because they have no jurisdiction over the Philippines, and we have not been.
But we're using an ICC warrant. The Interpol has never issued a warrant. President Duterte is not wanted by the Interpol. They were just relaying. Look at the email in the diffusion order.
Well, the cooperation, all I can say about cooperation is with the Interpol, not with the ICC directly.
I think that's not the question, sir. It's unresponsive. Have we consented to the ICC jurisdiction?
No, we have not. And that's why we have cooperated with Interpol. That's why I don't believe we fall under that U.S. Executive order. And anyway, anyway, I believe if there were any issue, it would have certainly been brought to our attention.